Von Ars Electronica Home Delivery, unserem speziellen Programm, mit dem wir die tollen Inhalte von Ars Electronica Ihnen nach Hause liefern. Welcome to our international guests, because again this evening we have a really great program for you. It will be Maki, Namekawa and Dennis Russell Davies on the piano, and the music they are performing this evening is by Philip Glass. Piano music by Philip Glass, in particular a selection of the 20 etudes for piano, and then the piece Stokes. And if technology is on our side and everything works well, we will even have a live connection with Philip Glass in New York City, so that we also can talk a little bit with him. The interesting part from this program today is that the piano etudes will be, two of them will be played by Dennis and two of them by Maki Namekawa. And actually the piano etudes that Dennis is playing are the ones that Philip Glass actually composed for his 50th birthday and for Achim Freier's 60th birthday. They are dedicated to Dennis, and we are really looking forward to a wonderful performance, and there will be a surprise at the end. So stay with us and please enjoy the evening, please enjoy the music. amazing. This piece needs some time afterwards to breathe. Thank you very much, Dennis. Thanks very much to Philip for this great surprise piece. It's probably been the first performance so far of this piece. Definitely here in our Ars Electronica Center, and wonderfully done with Dennis. I would like to ask Maki also to come again.
Actually, I played it for Philip yesterday.
Okay.
With using FaceTime, and went through a few things with him. It's extremely interesting to work with him as a composer, because while there's this direct and moving simplicity, he's a composer who, on the one hand, he's very generous with his interpreters, but on the other hand, he knows what the music is that he's written, and he knows how he wants it to be played. I asked him several questions about, as I always did in the past, did you really mean this? Did you really mean that? And in almost every case, yes, he really did mean that. And it's wonderful to work with a composer like him who hears and then writes what he hears, and you can realize it then as a musician.
Wonderful. Now we have also our cameras set up again, so people can see you in front. And we, of course, like every time here in the home delivery service of Ars Electronica, we have the possibility. I was already reading the questions and talking at the same time. So we have the possibility for visitors to join us. Man kann auch auf Deutsch mit uns sprechen. Das ist kein Problem. We can easily switch between the languages. And we have a first question here from Kate. She asks, does anyone know how the images were chosen to go with the score?
Yes.
Well, I think we all know.
Well, Corey Olan was the one who, of course, made these images to go with the score. And Gerfried, perhaps you could share with us how they were, where the images came from.
Yeah. This evening we had very different types of images. So it was clearly there were video pieces in the beginning with the first two etudes, 11 and 12. These were actually video recordings out of the Shinkansen train between Nagoya and Tokyo. And the wonderful thing with Maki playing is she really manages to play this so exactly that every time the train arrives in Tokyo Station, well, the piece is finished. The second two etudes that Dennis played, these are computer-generated images. So we make a very comprehensive sound analysis with the microphones and computer, and then the computer generates the images. And the last piece, the surprise, the elegy, these were actually a live footage from New York City. It's actually really raining there. I have to admit the images that we used are from yesterday, but we prepared images New York by sun, New York by rain. And of course the rain images are really perfectly to the situation, and they are from the Earthcam webcams in Tokyo.
You mean webcam in New York?
Tokyo, New York, sorry. I'm switching between what's the next question and then so of course New York City, I think that was very obvious to see here. So I don't know if we have some more questions left, some visitors who want to join us. Please also take the time, use the Skype contact, the Skype link. You find it on our webpage, but also in the YouTube channel. If you are listening and watching our YouTube stream, then just right below you find the link where you can also join us with Skype and talk directly, but here we have Jesus Davies, another Davies. Not yes, he's right. He says, believe some of these shots were live cams, all of New York City. Yes, this is Earthcam. This is a wonderful service where you get live web streams from many different locations. and we took these ones that we showed yesterday or the day before yesterday, because of course the connection is not so perfect. We didn't want to risk to have the images breaking down, but even because rain, these very nice shots where you see the raindrops was of course a very good opportunity. Okay, now I think this question goes to the piano players, definitely. It's about how long do you practice before you perform a piece?
Well, I started practicing these pieces in 1994, so I had a fairly good run up to now. Eric, you have the same problem I do. Your computer wants your Z is a Y and your Y is a Z. When you switch from German to English, I have the same issue. Yeah. From my standpoint, as much as possible ahead of time. Of course, in my case, the etudes, seriously, the etudes that I play, I've known them since Philip composed them in 1994. Maki will talk about her work with the etudes. She was involved in the world premiere of them, of the ones that she played.
2014 in Australia, so.
And the Elegy, well, I've lived with it about a week. It was a week ago. It was on the 2nd of May that Philip made me this wonderful gift of this beautiful page of music.
And we have to say Maki was the first one who played all 20 etudes in one concert, which is a 2 hours concert performance, and this is almost a kind of athletic, not just musical sensation, but also
I'm so thankful.
wonderful.
With the Ars Electronica Festival, I played all 20 etudes in one night. Thank you for audience. They stay there, and with Coriolan, real-time visualizations, and that was 20 etudes with one intermission. Yeah.
We have a next question. Kate again. How was playing Stokes together?
You want to ask each of us individually?
Playing or rehearsing?
Yeah, well, we love to play this piece. Philip gave both pianists a lot of room, and we can each sort of take, as we say, the bull by the horns, each one of us, and sort of determine the tempo and the mood of that particular section. So it's a really wonderful piece to exchange.
We play also Philip's for 2 piano pieces. 4 movements for 2 pianos. We have distance. Distance is now the very actual word, distance, the 2 pianos, but then the 4 hands is very intimate and it's very different, no?
Yes. Yes.
Actually, at this point, I have to say again, for those who don't know, the reason why the 2 of them can be so close together without even mask in Corona times is, of course, because they are married, but I'm sure all of you know. We get another question. Somebody would like to get a MIDI file of the Bösendorfer. That's a good thing to introduce, that this is actually really a very special instrument. It's the Bösendorfer CEUS, and it's a piano that can record actually very precisely the music, and it can give it back as MIDI files. But you have to admit that when you convert it down to MIDI, you lose so much of the quality, because the resolution of MIDI is by far not as good enough as the very sensitive playing of our performance. So we definitely would not give away the MIDI files, because they would not represent really the quality of their performance. But you can come to Linz, to the Ars Electronica Center, when we are opening again, and then this wonderful instrument will play the music again for you.
Here in the piano room,
Nice question. I wanted to ask this question as well. How, and in particular, when did you meet Philip Glass?
My first performance of a Philip Glass piece was in Paris. It was in the late 70s, I believe it was 1977, and with the ensemble Contemporain, Pierre Boulez was the music director and the founder. He asked me to do Philip's music in similar motion. But a couple of years later, in 1978, I met Philip at the house that I lived in at that time in Vermont. My wife at that time, Molly Davies, was a big fan of Philip's and said, "This is somebody you have to meet," and she arranged for Philip to come to our house. And Philip came and brought with him the score to Satyagraha. And he said, "This piece is being premiered in Holland, and he would hope that I would conduct it, and would I look at it?" And I said, "I would love to look at it." He left the score with me, and at that moment, when I began going through the score, I knew this is music I haven't heard before. This is music I'd like to know more about. And when I called the chief dramaturg at the Stuttgart Opera, Klaus-Peter Kerr, I was about to be music director of the Stuttgart Opera, and I said to Peter, Philip Glass brought me Satyagraha. Do you think we could do it? And he was so enthusiastic. He said yes, and Achim Freier wants to stage it, and that's how a long working relationship began. Philip and I have known each other well since the early 80s, and we've become very, very close friends. I've monopolized the answer to that question because, of course, Maki met Philip through me.
Yeah,
but in the meantime, Philip is writing more and more and more music for Maki's, which makes me very happy.
You can watch in the film. I was always in the kitchen with Philip. As an uncle in the kitchen, we baked the pizza. We made a pizza together more than music. And then I went to the rehearse for the opera or concert for new symphonies. So, and someday I played once for him or his piece, and then he told me, "Oh, you can play the piano." Like this, I remember that. We were laughing, and he gave us for 2 pianos the piece, and then we start another relationship. And then I'm very happy to tour with Philip very often without Dennis. Dennis is working and with his orchestra, and then I'm going to tour with Philip, and then go to breakfast together and talk about politics, everything, and so nice.
It's not only a very good personal friendship, but also a professional one, because Philip Glass just quite recently wrote his piano sonata, especially for you. It's dedicated to Maki. It was performed at the the Piano Festival, Klavierfestival in Ruhr. Maybe that's something where you also would like to say. What was this experience to have this new piece?
Yeah, this is then, we know each other over almost 15 years, Philip and me. But the last year I played his piano sonata. I premiered at the festival in Piano Festival Ruhr. Before the world premiere, we worked really together. I flew extra to New York, and we started to work really together. And that is another relationship. And then I met Philip really as a composer and as a person that is very intimate to how his personality and to know that is very beautiful. And thank you. Ars Electronica Festival was also commissioner, and then I played here in Austria, the Austria premiere here.
Which was a wonderful, exciting concert. Thank you very much for this. And we, in between, had a question. Somebody wanted to know, what is the favorite key of Philip Glass?
Yeah, Jeanette is asking, does he have a favorite key? I would say the keys are probably most important to Philip in terms of using different keys when he's dealing with the orchestra for the opera or for concert pieces. But the two etudes that we played today, both of them happen to be Maki's based on the key of C and D, and mine also. His long association and the influence of Ravi Shankar on Philip's musical development is reflected in the sense that modulation is not something that he's concerned with, although it happens often in his music, modulating from one key center to another. It's more of melodic and rhythmic development that I think he's interested in. And frankly, some of the pieces could be transposed up or down a tone or two tones, especially to accommodate different instruments that might be playing.
Cool. We have another question from Firat. How long have you been working or performing with glass? Can you give us a bit of history of your relationship? You said something already.
I would suggest Firat maybe should log in again and see the beginning of see what we just said, so that everybody doesn't have to listen to it again. But Philip and I have been, we've been close for 40 years.
Do you know how many compositions, how many pieces have you performed with your orchestra and with piano?
Well, Philip has composed 12 symphonies, and I've premiered 10 of those 12 and conducted all of them, of course, and recorded all of them, except for number 12, which is coming up soon. He's been an extremely active opera composer. He's composed, I think, more than 25, 26. I've lost track of what the actual current number is, and he just told us he's working on a circus opera, so the number just went up another tick. And I've done probably 10 of those. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of and keyboard pieces, the etudes, quartets. Philip, I've often said, there's no activity that's more important to Philip, and nothing he likes to do more than compose. So, and I think it shows.
Definitely.
Kate is back.
Yeah. Okay, there is another question coming.
Glass. Would you rank Mr. Glass as one of the greats with Bach, Mozart, probably, etc.?
So this is a difficult question. Would you rank Mr. Glass as one of the greats with Bach and Mozart?
Well, she just picked two composers that there's hardly any other composer that I would rank with them. So, I mean, there's, so people ask me who is my favorite composer, and then I've often said, well, if I'm on a desert island, it's with Mozart. But having said that, I can answer the first part of the question by saying, yes, he's one of the great composers. And the other thing is that we look back at the work of Bach and Mozart with some perspective that we really don't have yet with Philip. But I am very confident that in 50 years this music will still mean a lot to a lot of people.
May I tell the story with this composer's tree? We bought it in Leipzig.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And Gewandhaus, in the shop, music shop, and I found a music composer's tree. So, and it started from Scarlatti, Monteverdi, Scarlatti.
Monteverdi,
so,
yes.
And Bach, and then coming Stockhausen, Boulez, it's coming like that. And then the top of this tree was Philip Glass. So I bought two, and then I brought to New York one of them as a present for Philip. Philip was so happy to see, but he was so shocked. Where's Arvo? Where's Arvo paired? That was very.
That's typical Philip. Where is Arvo paired? On that, yeah.
We have one more question. What is your favorite work from Philip?
The one I'm playing.
Me too.
Very diplomatic answer.
It's not just diplomatic. There are works. Okay, that was a flip answer, but there are works that are, of course, astonishing from every composer, and the audience and the public reacts by also identifying very strongly with that particular work. Again, I think with Philip, most of you don't know enough of his music. Really listen to the 11 symphonies that are on record and are available to hear. Listen to them, and then you tell us what your favorite is. They're all wonderful pieces. 27 operas, at least 7 or 8 string quartets, 20 piano etudes. Everyone's going to have a favorite, and I go back to my answer, the one I'm playing at the moment.
I think that's a very good answer also to finish our session today. Thanks to everybody who joined our discussions here. Come again next week, next Friday. There's also plenty more time than to talk to Maki and Dennis. There will be actually in our series of concerts that is going on now until end of June. We have every Friday, we have a concert with the 2 of them. There will be a second evening dedicated to Philip Glass then in June, definitely. And as an announcement for next week, there will be...
We're performing Stravinsky's Firebird Suite, which Maki and I have arranged for piano 4 hands, and we're looking forward to that very much.
So do we. Thank you very much again to both of you. Thanks to our audience, and see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.